RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief. The answer to your question is learn the goddamn process, trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief. Let's party. It's Monday. It's meme coin insanity. Oh, there you go. There's a start. Wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey. How can you tell Brian made some money today? Oh, goodness. This crazy game up and down like as you know how it goes. But anyway. Happy Monday morning to everybody. TGIM and all that. Where are we here? 9:05 on the West Coast. 13th of May. 13 is a lucky number, eh? Some people yes, some people no. So anyway, welcome back to the Frivolity. I hope you all had an enjoyable weekend. Actually, I was kind of impressed to see that crypto and the broader crypto market didn't puke out there through the weekend, kind of stabilized. And we seem to have seen a bit of buying here first thing out of the gate here this morning. So that's encouraging. Still on the fence as to whether we're really actually trending higher or not. And as you can see on the lower right-hand corner of our screen, we have a little agenda that we'd like to try and work on here going forward for these free shows. Try and give a little bit more structure to this. And also, try and corral Brian. If Brian gets off on tangents, he can often waste a lot of time and energy barking about things that he doesn't like in his life, but not really relevant for you guys. So let's try and stay focused. First things first, let's talk a little breadth. Great to see that we have the breadth indicator back online. And actually, I was even asking our CTO, Short, if we could just maybe put a timestamp on when the weekly commodity trend survey is, and if we could put a little question mark here. And I'm going to spend time through the week just trying to do little cute little like 2 or 3 minute videos, just summarizing what this is and how you're best to use it. I think today, if anything, Chris, if you could make a little mark of this, because I think it's perfectly apt. And on Mondays, we do macro Monday kind of idea. So if anything, we'll probably circle back around in the after party. But as you can see, going through all of the names, we actually have a couple outright buy signals coming in on the Crypto 30. This is exactly how you're supposed to use this platform. So these names that spit out sixes, there we go. We got one on APT. I don't even know who that is. And Uni, of course, I spent a lot of time yesterday talking you through the Uni setup. So in the after party here today, maybe we'll take a look at this Aptos. Looks to me like it's in a buyable range here. So if you're hunting setups, rock and roll. So that's kind of good to see. I'm pretty pleased with that. As for the broader market, interestingly enough, not a heck of a lot of buy signals in the rest of the market. We do have a utility stock that seems to be perking up here a bit. So, very cheap on the weekly basis. As I said, Micro Mondays, we'll probably circle back around in the after party, look at this stuff in detail, just do a nice little overview for you people here on the free broadcast, and get a little bit of weakness coming into the broader S&P 500 breadth. Not an extreme though, right? And I think I showed you, I mean, this was such an absolutely beautiful illustration of how to use this engine to its like fullest capacity, where we have a situation there April 18th where you saw the country funds egregiously oversold and the S&P 500 egregiously oversold on both the short and medium term, and sure enough the whole darn market lifted there. I would consider this like a midstream sort of things maybe getting a little ahead of themselves. Is this just nothing more than a check of support? It is kind of interesting to see that fast is starting to approach, the slow is starting to approach overbought conditions. So, probably the better part of whatever this dead cat bounce was, it's probably played itself out. But at the same time, too, and not enough for me to go like, all right, time for us to get uber bearish. One thing actually that is jumping out at me, a little bit surprising, as you can see, most of the world currencies have actually rallied smartly against the US dollar, and they're all pointing up. In the after party, maybe we'll go take a look at what these currencies look like. But maybe a little suspicious, and if anything, watch out, US dollar index. We do have, I suppose, not, is it the next topic? I have to look on the YouTube page to see where this is because I can't even see it in the Zoom call, which is a bit frustrating, but oh well, it is what it is. Okay, so after we deal with breadth, and as I said, a little bit suspicious here. And if anything, actually, this is a good dovetail. Is there a potential that maybe we're setting up for, and actually, isn't that interesting? There we are we setting up for some sort of huge counter trend rally? Actually, it looks like the currency's backed off a little bit here on Friday, so that's actually encouraging. But I suppose that was on that consumer sentiment number. US dollar came back a bit. Some of the risk assets came back a bit. But that's probably, all I'm going to simply say is from a breadth perspective, just off the S&P 500, yeah, we're working our way higher. We're not in a ridiculously overbought condition. We're not oversold either. And as we look at the entire sort of breadth of the universe that we follow, you can see things, generally moving from the lower left to the upper right, as our old buddy was that Dennis Gartman. He used to always say that. Nothing really compelling out of the breadth. And if anything, it's first thing Monday morning. So we probably want to be a little bit sort of, just back off a little bit about our aggressiveness, let the market open up and breathe a little bit. If anything, really good, dovetail to our second topic, where we want to just review what were the econs that came out here today. And guess what? Got a whole bunch of hurry up and do nothing here this morning, econ wise. And if anything, what was really bothersome for me, and if anything, this is a really good sort of tell for you to help you set yourself up to, best practices. If I trade the crude oil markets through the futures markets there, Monday to Friday. I have a little demo account with the my old prop firm that we're just building that up slowly over time. Hey, good timing on the phone call. I'll have to let that go to voicemail. And one of my rules of thumb is don't take a trade around these Fed speakers. They'll just drive you crazy. Jesus, are you going to stop ringing? Thank you. They'll just drive you crazy because quite often lots of market manipulation around this. And I was, I wasn't surprised. I wasn't shocked. If anything, it's just business as usual. Let's see, where is that window? Let's see if I can pull that up. And you see, indeed, in a very low news environment. Where's my day trading screen? There it is. Opening range trade. I mean, they really messed with the opening range trade people here this morning. And this is a really good lesson. There's always stuff to learn in the market. It never finishes. But there was our opening range for the crude. They washed the tops, they washed the bottoms, and it just became a big hurry up and do nothing as these Fed speakers were speaking away. They finished speaking, and all of a sudden there was a fairly substantial rally come out the other side of this event. But when I was looking at the crude market this morning, it was kind of like, we're just kind of stuck in no man's land. So I didn't really want to go hunting too aggressively. We had that rally peak about sort of mid last week, into Thursday, Friday. Then we had that horrific consumer sentiment number. And, once again, I have to ask, is this really about the consumer sentiment number, or is it more about, well, they're manipulating the market because they want options to expire with certain strikes being in the money and other strikes being out of the money. So Wall Street makes an absolute killing and they head off to the Hamptons for the weekend. and enjoy all the frivolities of living the good life as a one percenter on the backs of you and I. My answer there. So anyway, point of the matter here is bottom end of the range overnight, top end of the range, not a big surprise. We're seeing some pretty wild price action through this. It was interesting to see how they rallied her up into this market structure top. I was thinking about taking a short this morning if we could get up top there. Actually, let's see. I think nope, this one has it. And I just didn't get the structure to pull the trigger. A nice 877. We came back right up against this original market structure top. Actually, this isn't the best one. Here we are. But for me to hit that level right there, and I mean, look at that. Brian's favorite fib. I mean, absolute textbook. But for me to hit that, that means I had to take 48 ticks of risk on the crude contract, and that's just too much. I can't take that kind of risk. So, as you can see, I was following along Mr. ICT's kind of concept, and I do kind of like that as one of his fair value gaps. And of course, there's good old Mountain Man. I didn't really want to hit that first thing this morning because, as you can see, the actual resistance was way up here. And if I had hit that, then I would have meant that I would have had to take like 60, 70 ticks of risk. And I can't handle that kind of risk. It's just too much. So as it stands right now, I'm just sitting patiently waiting if I can get a counter trend rally. If I'm lucky, and this is just the way that I trade, this turns into like an atom. Then we work our way up into some sort of eve, right? And we get a nice double top that sets up off of this reload short zone. That's what I'm looking for. But didn't do any trades today because nothing's really set up for me cleanly. Big stab up, then straight down. There's no econs to drive the price action. And as I had said right out of the gate, first thing this morning, the Fedsters kind of had probably a lot of the pros just sitting on their hands doing nothing. And sure enough, the opening range trade was just a mess. So stocks, interesting. They opened up fairly firm. It looks like the Nasdaq's catching a bit of a bid. Allen seems to be recovering a little bit. Hey, look at that. Brian's good old Intel. I have stink bids working down in the low, let's say mid 20s to try and pick some up. But this thing's been fighting me like a dog, 30.82. So anyway, interesting to see Intel basically the outperformer in semiconductor land, even beating NVIDIA and stuff. Wish me luck on getting that fill. I don't think I have enough time here in the free video to go into that. But what I would just simply say with regard to the stock market, this looks to me like a hurry up and do nothing kind of day. And what was interesting is when I first woke up this morning and did a review of the markets, the news was kind of basically like, like out of Europe. The headline was, and I think I have this from first thing this morning. Let's see if it loves stocks in Europe tread water. Well, I'd hate to say it, but I think that's exactly what's happening here in North America. I wouldn't really consider this a huge up or down day. You got the Dow down a whopping 5 points, NASDAQ up 0.3%. That's not bad. S&P is basically flat. Why? Number one, no econs. We had a horrific econ on Friday. And I think a lot of people are still smarting from that. And there's probably also a hangover with regard to the options expiry. And then what we probably should be waiting for with bated breath, of course, is we have big econs coming out later this week. More importantly, PPI coming out first thing tomorrow morning. And oh boy, look, we got more of these damn Fed speakers. I tell you, I really don't like how much they're talking these days. This is kind of stupid. Every single day, we're getting this rammed down our throat from these guys. They're talking way, way too much, and I'm not quite sure why. My hunch is they're going through the Great Reset. And I think that they've been given instructions by, Rothschilds, whoever the hell it is who's driving the bus, Anunnaki for all that matter, who knows. Okay, we've got to confuse the public as much as possible. We have to have them thinking 10 different directions. You see all the division in our society. We have to try and inject as much sort of don't talk about the way that we're effing over the money supply and effing over these people's lives. Just baffle them with BS and just keep throwing the BS at them day after day after day to the point where they're just like, the public doesn't know whether we're coming or going here. They're talking way, way too much. And they're also kind of contradicting themselves too, if you listen to them. One day they're like, oh, yeah, we're going to cut rates. Next day, oh, no, inflation's too much. I mean, they're just talking way too much. So, point of the matter here is, why are we not really going anywhere? Well, there's no econ data here to really drive direction. And I think everybody's waiting for Wednesday, and we got a whole bunch of really nasty data points coming out here. Um, yeah, thank you very much, Chris. Appreciate it. This whole point was to speak to point number two on our list. What's going on econs wise? I think half the reason why the market's drifting today. And, when we talk about it, good old crypto and altcoins and stuff like that. I think it's sort of like non-economic data that's really driving the bus here for the broader market, like macro kind of talk. And I don't think we're going to get really market moving stuff until Wednesday morning. And it's first thing out of the gate Wednesday, tomorrow morning. We might see a bit of a reprieve because we have this PPI number coming out tomorrow morning. But just temper your enthusiasm. You might find that Mr. Powell does say something of importance when he talks here tomorrow morning. I doubt it. I mean, I think it's just going to be the same old message that we've heard out of him for months. So we'll see how that goes. Slow and steady, but try and explain what's going on here econ-wise today. Well, there's nothing econ-wise going on today. So as a result, it's kind of like for the broader market, kind of like a backfilling event day, in my opinion. Next up on the hit list, we wanted to look at sort of, and I suppose this kind of corresponds with what we just talked about a minute ago, kind of look at the bigger picture. We'll put away these futures charts. And let's take a look at, we'll look at ES view. Well, I mean, why don't we start off with, what's the best one? We'll circle back around and take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin's firming up quite nicely here, especially after yesterday, my long rant about don't get too bullish. Of course, market goes straight up from there. That makes sense. Anyway, US dollar taking a bit of a pause. Stocks were catching a pretty nice bid first thing this morning. I did see the Dow stocks kind of pulled back here a little bit. I think they are primarily moving on the bond market direction right now. And you can see bonds overnight were feeling pretty uppy. Took a bit of a punch in the nose right out of the gate here first thing this morning, but they're catching a bit of a bid now. And so as a result, it looks like things like risk assets, crypto's catching a bit of a bid. It'll be interesting. NASDAQ and crypto move fairly closely. But it is interesting to see brick and mortar things like Dow stocks having a bit of a slog here. And I would say that probably what we need to do here to get some direction is see if we can get some direction out of this US dollar index. It's kind of just drifting higher. We'll clean out the short stops, all of these M tops, shorters. Take it down lower, clean out all the long stops, and we're just sort of drifting here right now. So until we get some clear direction out of the US dollar, I think probably the entire broader market is going to be very drifty. All right, so we talked a little bit about the crude this morning, rallying back into resistance, then backing off. I don't think there was anything really stunning out of gold. We talked a little US dollar. We talked a little bit of stock market. I suppose if we zoom in on the stocks in particular, we do have this 2.618 just floating out just a little bit above where we are right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if over the rest of today and into maybe first thing tomorrow, we actually do get a nice little pop up to hit that 2.618, which would make all the fog and bomb people happy and stuff. Notice there is this 2.618 off of this huge W here. I think I might be a bit aggressive, but these two 2.618s, that's off of this W and this W. I think that they're realistic. And also notice too, we have a 4.669 off of this original sort of lower time frame W down in here. So, 88.6, 52.91 and a quarter. It's not an unrealistic level for this thing to trade to. And I suppose the question ultimately here is, can they take the stocks to new highs here? Believe it or not, this is a higher trend line there. So higher highs. They could very easily. And, I do one thing that kind of left me scratching my head from previous rallies and all that kind of talk was A to B, C to D. We never did hit this A, B, C, D objective. Maybe that's what they need to do here through the week to try and clean all that sort of technical business that's should have gotten dealt with now. So anyway, we'll see what happens. Only time will tell. If anything, I kind of like the idea that we're just going to settle into a range here for the next little while. Maybe get a little bit of direction that way. Free broadcast here. We'll just finish off with a quick boo at some crypto. I was sort of cautioning the community, maybe let's not get too bullish right away. It is encouraging to see, I will say, that the 13 EMA on the weekly chart is trying desperately to hold us in here. Not really anything other than the 13 EMA, which often acts as a pretty good support, to try and help us stabilize here. But other than that, there just isn't a hell of a lot to get too excited about. On the weekly basis, we are starting to see a little bit of basing out of the momentum indicators. I really don't like to consider buying, though, when Willie is stupid like this. So maybe if we're lucky, we get a nice little counter trend rally. I think we've talked about this a lot. So, definitely don't need to beat a dead horse. I think this is our playground, right? Current playground. So that means this darn price can zoom all the way around, all over this place. We spent a lot of time yesterday talking about the midpoint of this channel, how I think that is a pivot for this market right now. And, there is our bullish bot setup. If this thing does end up putting in a nice W on the other side of this trend line, then let's rock and roll. And if anything, a little bit skeptical about getting too bullish here, considering there aren't any new econs that are really driving price. It was almost like everything got bitch slapped on Friday. Remember, we talked about the options expiry on Friday. In fact, I think last week we specifically picked apart the BITO options and why the market was down where it was. It was interesting to see that my birthday actually ended up becoming a complete non-event. This is technically actually a bit of a bullish sign. This is an inside bar, and actually candlestick aficionados, even though I don't like to call it, but the candlestick people would call it, because baby's body is above mummy's bottom of mummy's body. They will actually call this a harami. This thing opened up 67.99, closed 68.16, so a slight up bar there. And of course the close on this thing, 67.93, 67.99 was the open here, so just ever so slightly higher. All right. So the point that I would make here is not bad. I mean, if we're lucky, put in nice little consolidation here. I still need to see a W for me to get too bullish. Right now we've got an M, and they've just busted out the noob stops here. So can I get a nice little W here to give me 3 higher lows to justify that bullish action? Probably through this dotted line. This will paint a test of the upper trend line. Well, let's cross that bridge when we come to it. We haven't gotten there yet. I still need to see one more higher low here to carve out that W. But hey, it's encouraging. It's a hell of a lot better looking than it was on Friday. when we were staring at a huge M in our faces. So what's going on in the broader crypto market? I would probably say the same thing for sort of like the general crypto market. If we look at things like total, you can see the same moving averages, the same M, the same midpoint trend line battle going on here. So again, also too, this is kind of a vacuum of information. And in that vacuum of really no fundamental drivers, you can get a lot of fun things happening here. So that's the way I would sort of look at the broader crypto market. I don't really have any outright buy signals. What I do see happening, though, and really this shouldn't surprise us, is we're getting a lot of sort of individual fun little names that are doing their thing. And, actually today was a pretty profitable day for the Beamish. The account, remember this account was funded with $500 way back when, I think like in January or February. So we did have quite a nice run up. They ran this thing up to about 1,400 bucks. Let's see if it loads. And actually this does not include all of the coins in the portfolio, so it's not exactly accurate, but it's close enough for our purposes. And then we had a pretty nice day here this morning. Count went jumping back up quite violently. Why? Well, we had a couple really nice wins booked here this morning. There was a gentleman, Wall Street Bets and all that kind of stuff, that is coming back out and touting the GameStop story. I mean, I'm not going to get too into the weeds about what that person's doing on this free broadcast. All I'll simply say is had a gentleman on the site who had suggested that, hey, we want to start, accumulating these kind of meme names down at the bottom end of our ranges. I mean, this is exactly what we do. Perfect example of little old lady kind of ideas. I did a little bit of nibbling off of these lows, not really too concerned. It was just going to drift, and that's what it did for a month or two. And then all of a sudden, kapow, out of nowhere, monster rallies. You remember the broader stock market, everybody's just sitting there on their hands waiting for Powell to talk tomorrow, waiting for the big inflation numbers out on Wednesday. So in this kind of environment, it's sort of like, okay, well, what are we going to do? I think I showed you, that on the FinViz screen, the broader market, we're not really in earnings season, so there's not really anything driving us that direction. So let's go have some fun in the fun meme coin kind of market. Like I said, it's not really a hell of a lot going on. In fact, actually, some of the big tech stocks are kind of looking kind of sanguine. So in this kind of environment, what a surprise. You have fun little things like this GameStop popping on talk that Mr. What the hell is his name? Anyway, this Roaring Kitty, I think it was. Anyway, coming charging back. But the irony of it all is this good fundamental investing? Look at these PE ratios. This is stupidity. I mean, it's outright stupidity. This is, if you're going to be a momentum trader and you're trading on, the hype and all that, well, I suppose you can see the W's, you can see the rising volume patterns. So, I suppose, it makes sense what's happening here. This is a great opportunity, if you're doing the little old lady portfolio, you just come in at the bottom end range, do a little bit of nibbling. Then when these people go stupid like this, well, sell into the rally. So I was very fortunate this morning, got off a very, very big win. And, it's just the way that it goes. Interesting to see. And actually, I don't even know whether the stock itself is moving. I think this is almost kind of like there's a vacuum in crypto and people are kind of like, well, what should we be trading? There's Nvidia's coming out with earnings relatively soon. So maybe the market's getting excited about that. But if we go over to Schultcoin land, there's big fat wins being booked on things like Nvidia. This was an insane win. That was like 10x. So, what the hell? I'll take it. But this little Nvidia just spat out a nice little double for us. There's sell half on a double. I had that order working, and away she goes. Now, is this rallying because of the Nvidia stock? I don't think so. Is it rallying because people have, they're over in crypto, they're flush with cash, they want to do something in the market? and they're just, sniffing around meme coin ideas. Yeah, I do think so. And in a weird sort of way, now that Brian's birthday's come and gone, I think I've told you repeatedly, this is the time when you want to go start accumulating these names that were just sitting right at the bottom end of the ranges doing absolutely nothing. These happen to be the memes, but in the after party, maybe we'll just cycle through these, see if there's any other names that are putting in W's right now. Hint, hint, hint. Yes, there are a few. So better stay tuned, and we'll take a look at that in the after party. So, this is the kind of day that I'm having. Ironically enough, not really doing anything in the futures land. Don't really see a hell of a lot going on in the broader market. Yeah, I mean, we're moving up, and the general tone of the market is relatively positive. But where I've actually spent most of my time and effort this morning has been in this funny little meme coin environment and banging out some pretty damn big wins here this morning. So the altcoin account now is flush with cash. So that means that I've got a lot of ammunition now to get in there and start nibbling away on a lot of names that I've just been sitting patiently waiting for this seasonal bottom. And I would say probably something over the next few months. Let's say the next month. You're probably going to see one by one these kind of names. And over in in fact, actually, there's a name of Julian's that he was interested in, this Samo. Look at that thing. Jesus, that looks absolutely perfect. Right on my damn line in the sand there. So if you want a free, there's a nice little free treat for you. Don't say you didn't get any free ideas from TRI on these free broadcasts, because that thing's just got rally written all over it. No guarantees on the management. I couldn't really care one way or the other whether you buy or don't buy this thing, or just leave it alone. Maybe just watch it if you're relatively new to the channel. And of course, if you're a TRIer, you know how the game goes. So I don't really need to school you. But speaking of which, last thing I'll say in this public broadcast, and this is what I've been sort of telling people in the tweets and stuff here this morning, is if you want to learn how to do this, it isn't difficult. It really isn't. But you just need some guidance. There's nobody out there in the world teaching people how to do this. I mean, it's just there. It's not rocket science, but nobody teaches the public how to do this effectively. Well, not nobody. Somebody does. TRI, and I mean, and we get pretty good reviews. I think we've changed a lot of people's lives for the better. Um, and really the whole point of this education program is to try and give you a framework so that you can come in and actually realistically expect to do crazy things like this on a day-to-day basis, and just slowly build your business of trading. So we would love to have you part of the education program. The clock is ticking. You've got about 11 hours left to register. And actually, interestingly enough, Josh had a great conversation with somebody earlier today, and to the point where they're like, yeah, you know what? I think I'll sign up for the next level in the education program. So sign me up. So if you want that convo with Josh, I would suggest you get off your keister. You've got a few minutes left, or if I've given you the sales pitch, considering the amount of money that we're charging for this will change your life if you actually implement everything that we try and teach you. It really will. Anyway, all right. So there's your message for a Monday morning. PMA for the win. Slow and steady wins a race. Yeah, hopefully I got in there about a good 20 minutes, half hour or so. All the best, and let's head on over to the after party and let's dig into things like macro Monday and what the dashboard's telling us to think about from a higher time frame perspective. And also, too, maybe if there are any trade ideas the dashboard's trying to hint us to pay attention to. Hint, 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 there are. All right, all the best. Hugs and kisses. The only thing left Brian to say to you good people is bye for now.